Mr. Andrew Abdo, the CEO of the National Rugby League, joins the Run Home with Joel and Michelle today. G'day, Mr. Andrew Abdo. How are you, mate?
Hey, Joel. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, there's one thing about going to the moon, you've got to get back.
That's right. Did they go to the moon, Andrew, by the way? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I think if they didn't, they did a great job in making it very realistic. But on to more important things, Joel. I like the talk up around SCN. It could be that you are the biggest rugby league radio station in the world globally, actually, now that I think about it.
Loving it.
No, we are, Andrew. We are. It's not could. We are. And
pass it on.
Yeah, we
Pass
are.
that message on.
There's no doubt about that. I want to congratulate yourself and the team because what you've achieved and where you've taken the game, Gambaros, Vegas, the Pacific Championships, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. You've shaken up this game, the NRLW, like you've got all these girls coming through field after field after field. I'll tell you what happens, Andrew, and you might have been to and many of our listeners may have been in recent times, it's the end of the school year. And quite often in year 6, and I've got 4 kids, so I've seen it at different sort of life cycles. And you'll see, okay, they'll do this sort of display where it's a video reel and who wants to be what? And I want to be a basketball player and I want to be this. The amount now, which I'm sure you're aware of, Andrew, the amount now of young girls wanting to be NRLW players has exploded, which I think is just so good for this game.
Oh, it's terrific. And it's not just becoming NRLW players. It's becoming coaches, referees, and administrators. And the women's game has changed our game for the better, Joel. Like, it's changing the culture. It's changing the way in which we think about, promote, talk, and play our game for the better. And it is, like, if we want to be the greatest game for all, then we celebrate our inclusivity, and we celebrate the fact that we have got probably the best female athletes on the planet. Like, one of the exciting things about Vegas next year is to be able to showcase our female athletes test footy in Las Vegas. I think the Americans and the global potential fans we're going to win by showcasing just how brilliant our athletes are, both men and women. But we're a team sport, right? And we've got great people in our game, and we're really fortunate. It starts at the top. We've got a really strong commission and a commission chair who really does care about the game and is up for driving change. And we've got terrific people inside the game. Everyone, the players, the clubs, the volunteers, everyone plays their part, and most of all our fans. And having our fans really supported us over the last few seasons, just like record numbers and participation and in coming to games live and watching on television. So this game is all about community. That's what it is. It's like it's always been the people's game, and it means so much to people. And how great is it that we all can play a part in being part of that community.
Andrew, big congratulations from me as well. The game is absolutely on fire at all levels. We are here in November. We are still talking about Origin and looking ahead, and that's, it kicks off in May next year. The Pacific Championships, though, that's been a really interesting concept with promotion, relegation, and I love the fact that we've been able to, I guess the word is revive, resurrect international footy. We are loving it again.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Like, you raise a couple of important points. Like, we obviously know that the players love playing for their country, and there's no greater honour than pulling on, the jumper for and representing your country. But our fans also love seeing the NRL and NRLW stars playing for their country too. We needed a meaningful calendar. We needed a time in the year where we could have some meaningful content, and it was quality over quantity. And I'm really pleased that we now have a situation, again, thanks to the commission and the strength of leadership, we have a calendar where after the grand final for 4 weeks, we're going to be playing the Pacific Championships. We're going to be hosting a World Cup in 26. We're going to have incoming and outgoing tours. So the opportunity to see the players representing their country, but also for fans to celebrate the cultures on the heritages of the different nationalities that play our sport. And it's all part of our plan to take what we think is the greatest rugby league, is the greatest sport on the planet, take it to as many people as possible around the world.
Andrew, you mentioned that changes, and people get antsy about changes. They go, oh, can you just leave the bloody game alone? That's what people say, but they don't. There was once upon a time where there was unlimited tackles. You have to evolve and make change. And I have grown up personally on rugby league fields as the eldest of 6 and 4 kids of my own. I reckon I've been there for 40-something years. and people say, oh, the game's going soft. Well, the truth behind all that is the game has never, ever been tougher than what we have right now. There is one thing that I'm absolutely certain of, and I said this 2 years ago, and people were saying, oh, leave the game alone, it's going soft. But I truly believe this is going to happen. Brenda Cow's released a show called Plum. The kickoff, in my opinion, I think it's soon to be extinct. Just because where we're heading, if we're serious about concussion, Andrew Abdo, it just doesn't stack up. And a lot of people will be driving off the road thinking about me saying this.
No, I have to agree.
But where are we at with that, Andrew? Are we thinking about an alternative? Because it sort of it feels like to me, with, as I said, a father of four, we have to make change there sooner than later.
Well, I think it was Charles Darwin who said, it's not the strongest of species that end up surviving, but those that are the most adaptable to change. And I think that's what you really summed up quite nicely there. You don't want to change for the sake of change. And certainly, like when you talk about rule changes, we and the Commission made some changes, and now we've got, a great product where we don't need to make drastic changes. But player safety and player well-being is a priority. And we are a contact sport, and we need to be doing everything we can based on the information that we have to make the game as safe as possible. And that means that we are going to, have to change things from time to time. But it has to be based on data. It has to be based on information that we know is credible and can make a difference. And that's the only way you can make decisions like that. But we've done a lot. We need to, continue to invest in research and think about elements that we've done. But we've led by bringing in independent doctors. We now, are able to get players that have had potential head injuries. We can get them off the field quicker than we've ever been able to before. Run state-of-the-art testing and make sure that they're safe to return to the field or not, as the case might be. And part of that, Joel, is looking at areas of the game where we may be able to change rules to ensure that you don't compromise the fabric of the game, but you also take into account player safety. Kickoff could be one of those. We've already moved to removing the penalty for an incorrect restart in terms of a line dropper. Could it be that there are other incentives put in place for the kickoff? Yeah, absolutely. We'll look at that, and we are looking at that now at the end of the season. But we won't do it without having strong data and carefully kind of considering and thinking about those instances that we think it might reduce. And there's not. It's difficult to say what that might look like, other than to say we're on it and we are looking at it and looking at the data.
Good man.
Andrew, I want to ask you, there's been a lot of talk about a major overhaul of the officiating, the bunker, all that sort of stuff. This is a really a simple one, and even those that are not the purists, kind of complain. We can send a man to the moon. We talked about it before, but we can't rule on forward passes. It's, very frustrating for fans. How big an overhaul will this be, in the off-season?
Yeah, you've got to have balance. I know, I get it. You got to have balance, right? And two things. On one hand, we are harsh on our match officials. When I look at, I've watched a lot of different sports over many, many years, and and even from watching junior sport and our kids play, everyone gives the referee, no matter what the sport, no matter if it's State of Origin or if it's park footy, we give the refs a hard time. And we have actually great match officials. And I'm not going to say the cliche that they're human and make mistakes, but I do want to say we do give them a hard time. Now, it's easier to have a go at the bunker because it's not a human, it's just this thing, this nebulous.
Yep.
But all the bunker is, it's a match official using technology to, assist the on-field referee in trying to make, quicker, more transparent and more accurate decisions. There are definitely things. So I've said that. On the other hand, there are definitely things that we need to improve. And this overall, or this review, is we want to listen to our fans and we want to listen to the players and the coaches and go, right, where can we simplify things? Where can we be a bit more transparent? And where can we provide much more clarity? Not all of it has to do with the actual bunker decision making. Some of it has to do with the rule itself. And that's where probably we need to do some work on actually just really being clear and simple around how things will be interpreted and make sure that everyone understands it and gets it. Some of it might be on the speed in which decisions are made. Some of it might be whether or not the bunker is interfering too much in the flow of the game or the match official is relying too much on technology. So it's interesting you mentioned forward passes, right? Because there's two schools of thought here. The one is, well, if we've got this technology, let's use it. And the other school of thought is we already have, we love seeing wingers score tries in the corner, and the technology that is enabling those tries in the corner to be given by the on-field and checked in the background. Like, we never want to lose that. So people that say, blah, the bank could get rid of technology, like, I don't think people would realize how much we would actually lose from that. But do we actually include it more into the game by looking at forward passes? I'm not sure. It's a really tricky one, and I'm not going to sort of prejudge what work we do and what the commission ultimately decides in the course of the off-season. But I guess I'm just trying to provide everyone with that perspective of balance, because we don't actually get that many forward passes wrong. And what you want is you want to avoid the howler. We all do.
Yes.
So what can we do to avoid those absolute howlers?
Yep.
But if we were going to rule on every technical offside, every technical slide forward pass, we may have a very stop-start game. So it's a delicate balance.
No, it certainly is. I know you've got to go, Andrew, and you've got other commitments to do. We've had so many texts come through, and as I said, I truly believe there is not, in fact, I know there's not a radio station on the planet who talks more rugby league than us. And with that comes a lot of text messages, and they're specific for you and the National Rugby League. Andrew, many of them are talking about the Ezra Mam situation and those similar to that. Does the NRL have any comment or anything you wish to share, or an update or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I'll just say this: it's a live matter, right? And it's with the legal system, with the court. So there's not much that I can say. When a player has been charged with a crime, our policy is to step back and allow that criminal matter to conclude in the courts, and then, based on that information and based on that outcome, we then do our own assessment and any relevant sanction. So I can't speak specifically to this matter because it's live, and that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But I'll just say this: our players generally, if you look over the last couple of years, they've just become much, much more professional and great role models in the game. And from time to time, they put themselves in situations where they make the wrong decision. And it's unfortunate that we're speaking about this. It's an unfortunate headline, but again, they're humans, and we want to support them, and we want to make sure that they have the support to be better equipped to make better decisions. But ultimately, there has to be accountability too. So we'll wait for the court proceedings to conclude, and then we'll be pretty quick afterwards with whatever might be appropriate at the time.
I should say at this point too, there's text coming through, and I'll let you go now, Andrew, but a lot of people always say the NRL needs to do more for these players. The NRL can't do more for these players. There's not an industry, Michelle, there's not an industry in the planet that does more for their young people than what the National Rugby League does. I've seen it firsthand. The likes of Paul Eptensall, Tony McFadden, Catherine Raper, list goes on. There is not an industry who does more for their players than what the National Rugby League does. Andrew, we appreciate your time. We've got to go. Well, you've got to go, actually, but we appreciate your time. We'd love to get you on closer towards the start of the next season in Vegas, of course. Hope you get some downtime.
I can see why SEN is the rugby league radio station of choice. You guys do a great job, and I appreciate you. There's some. I think I should have you both, Joel and Michelle, as my PR liaison. No, thank you very much for having me.
There's one thing, Andrew. There's one thing you can do for me. I want names on the back of jerseys, please. They do it in the Super League, and it's great for fans. Just have a think about it.
Yeah, for sure. There's lots of things we can, and ways in which we can get better. I'll just say this, the fans are the lifeblood of the game, and I love answering questions. So have me on whenever you want, because feedback from the fans and their ideas and their suggestions and their questions is always time well spent for me. So thanks for having me on the show. And next time, I'm happy to take whatever questions the fans have, because that's where the good ideas come from, and they are the lifeblood of the sport. But thanks for having me, and everyone, enjoy another weekend of footy with the Pacific Champs. We've got a lot of exciting football, and I can't wait. Saturday evening, and then Sunday afternoon, 4 p.m, Australia-New Zealand, the old rivalry. So, and 2 p.m, the women's game at Jerusalem and Fern. So it's going to be a great weekend of football.
Can't wait. And
Thanks,
I think I heard that he's coming into the studio for the Andrew Abdo Hour. Look forward to that, Andrew.
Love it.
Thank you, mate. Take care.
Can't wait. Nice to chat.
There he is, Andrew Abdo, CEO of the National Rugby League.